Welcome. No, let's do that again. All right. Hello, welcome. Welcome. Episode 2. Let me come down a bit. Yeah, cool. I'm in short, looking a bit sweaty after getting back from the court. That's good. Cool. Welcome to episode 2 of Behind the Replay, where we talk about sport that Noah is interested in to people that may also be interested. Welcome. Today we have a very interesting week in the week of sports that I find enjoyable. We are going to start off talking about the Rugby Championship because I think that's the most dramatic thing going on in sport at the moment. And then after realizing that I talked about a entire round of NRL last week and then found I specifically when I got to the Knights and Titans ran out of things to say, we're going to just talk about that Friday night of footy and maybe another game that I found quite interesting that I worked on. After that, we're going to talk a little US Open. US Open started, and specifically, we've got to talk about that Medvedev game. I don't know if you saw it, but I'm going to do a little breakdown or just tell you how I feel about that. Welcome to Behind the Replay. Let's get in and get started with a very, very sad for a New Zealand fan set of events. The All Blacks losing in Argentina, very embarrassingly. I don't know the score until I look it up right now. Versus New Zealand, I think it was 29-23. That is appalling. The first time New Zealand has ever lost to Argentina in Argentina. And really, to sum up the Rugby Championship this week, there's only one thing you need to know. What both teams, South Africa and Argentina, did, and that's the bomb squad. That's kick high, and that was the tactic. That's how you win rugby these days, apparently, because who the fuck knows how to deal with that. The All Blacks certainly don't. It's frustrating, man. It's the same issues that the All Blacks have been having for 2 years now, 3 years, since we've been not, I don't want to say shit, but since we've been not the All Blacks we're all used to. Really diving in deep. I mean, the issues that we have is we don't know what to do under the high ball. And I don't know why we don't see other teams kicking towards the wing, a high ball, getting the ball back maybe 50% of the time, and the All Blacks just don't try it. That's another discussion, but there's that, and then there's the ill discipline. It's just a problem. We've had now 5 cards in total. Last year in the entire Rugby Championship we had 7. So, man, the Will Jordan one, that's far out. Just because I'm a biased fan, what else are you supposed to do in that position? But I understand why it was given. But then the Tupavai one, I think rugby in general, for general discourse, and this is going to sound like I'm a salty fan, but in general discourse, there's a couple of things I want to get rid of. That Sever Reese card where you put your hand out and you knock the ball on, I think it's a dumb rule. I've always thought it's a dumb rule. I think it should be if you want to keep it, I think it should just be a knock on. I think it's actually, that's what I like about league, is that if you get your hand in there and you disrupt it, it's like in touch when you're playing touch footy at the park. If you get your hand in there, you didn't really overwhelm the defense enough, But in rugby, immediate card. So Sever Reese goes to the bench. I would get rid of that rule. I just want to start off with rugby rules I get rid of because I think it's a fantastic game, but I just think there are a couple of things it just needs to change. So that's one of the rules. The other rule will come to me in a bit because I've technically forgotten about it. I have nothing. I've had a very frustrating day. I've got a new laptop, new computer, so I'm trying to just get it all done. I've had a very frustrating day with technology, so I haven't actually had time to write down what I want to do. But fuck it, man. I'm angry. I've got shit to talk about. I'm going to talk. So Yeah, where to start? With the All Blacks. Backline. Backline's a big issue, baby. And look, I don't want to solo any dudes out, but I'm just gonna quick round what's some problems going on, because it's easy to identify the problems and the solutions will come in a bit. Damian McKenzie, I think you're a bit too small for international rugby when the game's like that. I don't want to say for international rugby, but there's times, man, where I just need you to not go sideways. I need you to go hard and go forward, but you're a bit too small for it, which is a bit annoying when you're coming off the bench and you're playing a full half of footy, and, there's times where we just need to, to take that in. The high ball, our back three is wrong, man. And I'm a Severeese fan. I'm a really big Severeese fan, but that was man, you got to attack the ball like that. I'm the biggest Will Jordan fan in the world. You got to do better than that. But I also credit to Argentina, obviously. Matera was immense throughout that entire game. I thought Chocobares, the number 12, was fantastic. And Dalgui as well, just a pocket rocket on the wing there. And that's where they were kicking, and a lot of times he was a big reason that they were getting the ball back. And, man, I thought he was going on a generational run when we had 13 men on the field. It seemed like he made 5 breaks in 5 minutes. Didn't convert any because of the heroics of Bowden Barrett, making 2 insane tackles, specifically that try saver at the end. But that's what happens when you have 13 men on the pitch. That brings me to my other, I said I'd come back to it. That's the other rule that I get rid of. I think if it's a try and a yellow card, that's too much of a disadvantage. There's a penalty. It should be a penalty advantage. It should just be, and I think this for every team. I think it should just be, unless he comes around and fucks goes high, and there's a high tackle and it's a high degree of danger. But if it's get lost with if it's a ruck infringement, 3 phases, and then they score a try, the try's been scored, all right? It's already been done. Maybe when you're back down on that end of the field and there's another infringement, then sure, I get the repeated offensive, but the try's already been scored, man. You don't need to fucking send another dude to the bench. It just makes it so brutal for any team, and that's what the All Blacks ran into, because, the rules are rules. Don't hate the player, hate the game, son. Don't hate the game, hate the player, son. No, that doesn't make sense either. But you know what I'm saying? It's like the rules, the All Blacks at the moment, we're not, getting in there. We're not trying to. We're just getting into this point where our ill discipline is now starting to bite us badly. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating watching stupid things like that tear your team down. Because when you're down to 13 men, it doesn't matter if they don't score. In that time, you try to play a game with one less player, man. You get tired, And I know there's the bench, and I know, but you're running an extra set of distance every phase, and that really has bad effects, kind of thing. So. Yeah, I went and rewatched there were 20 minutes after the half time there where I was like, that's where the game slipped away, because Argentina were ahead by 6. And it just seemed that Argentina, because it was tied at halftime, and it just seemed Argentina, they played a really gritty game, and we're trying to go wide, we're trying to do all these pretty things, but the back line, there's just disconnect there. There's been disconnect there since the start of the year. It's looking dire. It's looking dire because there's a game coming up on September the 6th at Eden Park, which is massive, man. That is a big game because South Africa are coming, and if you watch the South Africa-Australia game like I did, South Africa used the tactics Argentina used, but they're a better team. They're a better team on paper. So, man, we got to figure it out. We got to, last time the All Blacks really, truly conquered the high ball, I'd say it was the 2011 bomb squad with Corey Jane, Richard Kahui, and Israel Dag at the back, and they called themselves the bomb squad. And anytime they took great pride in being able to take down high balls. So what's the solution? Well, the solution is to get dudes who can catch, and I've got my quarrels with Caleb Clark, but he's in good form. If he's available, because he's currently injured, I'd be putting him on the wing, 100%. And I think another player who maybe should have been selected for that, it's hard to say now in retrospect because Jordan has such a fantastic first game, but Ruben Love's really good under the high ball, and Ruben Love's a special talent. And this is coming from someone who, when I first watched his debut, I had a co-worker back at Sky telling me Ruben Love's different. He was a Hurricanes fan, and I was like, I don't see it. I see it. This guy's good. Shout out to Isaac. He called it early. But yeah, it's something that we need to change, because we need to get that backline stat, because South Africa, they kicked the Wallabies to death, man. And I mean, I think it could have been a really different game if Tom Wright didn't get injured in the first 3 minutes. I thought Corey Toole had a really good game, and I love Max Jorgensen and things like that, but I think when you're bombing to Andrew Callaway over and over again, and I also think Andrew Callaway's a great player, I just think he really struggled underneath the high ball, because that kicking is so... Even if it goes up 20 meters, and it comes down, as long as it's somewhere within the vicinity, it's really quite difficult to deal with. And international teams have been showing that. And yeah, just quickly on the South Africa-Australia game, I thought what I said last week is exactly what South Africa did. I thought they really slowed the game down. They slowed the pace down. A couple more notes on just the South Africa game is that their locks, man, their locks when, Luke Diaga and Etzebeth come off the bench, and then that's your backup locks, man, that's scary, man. I thought Quagga Smith had a fucking huge game as well. They're big boys, man. They're big boys, and we got really dealt with by Argentina there. We look small. And yeah, it's worrisome, man. I'm worried. I haven't really been too worried as an All Blacks fan, apart from going to the World Cup last year. Like, it's been a good 4 or 5 years now where the All Blacks just don't seem to have it. There's historic records that have fallen left, right, and center. It feels like with this generation of team, and it's heartbreaking. I think it's fixable. I think we can win, and I think we should win that game at Eden Park, because it's Eden Park. The Box haven't beaten us at Eden Park since 1937, and I don't think we've beaten the Box in 5 tries. If I'm wrong, comment down below. I don't think anyone will, but I think that's the stat. So this game at Eden Park coming up is massive. It's huge. Not only that, this is the first time the Rugby Championship after 2 rounds has been tied, which is very interesting, because now it's a who's hot pot of who the fuck knows what the fuck's going to happen, which I love. Good on international rugby. That's something that is really good. Yeah, it is. It is really good. So I am happy that there's more parity in the Rugby Championship. Kudos to Argentina. The South Africa-Australia game, I got to be honest, it was a bit of a boring watch. I don't think you're missing out too much if you didn't. Just know it was the tactics that Argentina used, just done slightly against a hampered side. I thought the Wallabies were right there. I feel bad for the Wallabies sometimes, and that's coming from an All Black supporter. I still can't believe they've converted me like that. That's what happens when you live in this country. Anyway, yeah, All Blacks. Simon Parker, I thought had a really good debut, but I, again, just don't know what our back 3 is. I think our tie 5's okay. Tamati Williams coming back, I thought he looked a little bit, I mean, he's been out for a while, so he definitely needed some more game time. But I think I've hit on all the points. The kicking game is something that we need to improve on. Our halfbacks as well, with Radimer going down and Finlay Christie being Hotham's out, Roy Guard's out. Oh man, dude, I'm looking at that game at Eden Park and I'm worried, chat. I'm really, yeah, I am quite worried, because that South Africa team, they didn't even play their best, but they looked pretty good. They looked pretty strong. Yeah, so that's probably all the international rugby chat that I'm going to have for now. I am going to try in the upcoming weeks to be a little bit faster, a little bit more, on the ball with these podcasts. This is just me setting up everything. So, please stay patient, and thank you for listening if you're this far through. Because next we're going to talk about an absolute thrilling Friday night footy of NRL that was last Friday that I watched at the pub. My God, what a game. That was so exciting. The Raiders versus the Panthers out at Mudgee. Yeah. Far out. Wow. I mean, you got to start at the end, right? That game winner. Woo! Chee! That was sick. That was the best game winner I've ever seen. I've actually made a mental note in my head of other really good game winners that I've seen, and that was the best. Because that's the only one I can remember going the whole distance for the win. Like in extra point golden time. I can't remember a full length of the field try like that. Especially the way it hits off the post. The inside of the post. Like, you'd have to say a centimeter over, and then that's going up against the post, going over. It bounces for Jed Stewart, Ricky's boy. And he gets it, and he does a really good job of not falling to the ground as two. I think it was Liam Martin, and I'm not 100% sure the other player. My apologies, but they try to get him. And he's jumping, so they leave him alone a bit, and he keeps his balance, and then goes directly out to the wing. So I've heard a lot of these other players I'm about to talk about, but Jed Stewart, for a first year player, to keep the ball alive like that is just really special. Really, really top-notch IQ. I don't know if he was meaning to do it, but from the pub, I was like, damn, that's smart not to milk the penalty and to have real heads-up footy. And then he went to my boy, Ethan Strange. Look, team, look, chat. I said we have the Tyrone Wishart fan club meeting every Wednesdays at the library. I'm not actually the president of that club, but the Ethan Strange fan meeting I am the president of. I've been driving this wagon since the start of the season, and I'll tell you why. Since the start of last season, I beg your pardon, because that kid is mad. He is special. He is properly good. He's a new Jack Wyden at that Raiders. He's going to be there forever. He is so good. And he made the break down the side of the left touchline, breaking Nathan Cleary tackle just quietly that no one else is talking about, I hear. Goes down the sideline, absolutely gasses everyone, goes back inside to the other, probably the quickest player, one of the quickest players in the comp, and Kale Weeks, who we'll get to, scores the match-winning try. But man, Ethan Strange, what a fucking player that guy has been this season. He is immense. He's strong. He's exciting. Why I say I'm the president is because before he even made a debut in his NRL, he played for the under-19 New South Wales team 2 years ago, and he scored 4 tries. And I was watching the highlights when I was working at Fox going, what the hell? Who is this kid? And I did some research, and I was like, oh, okay, he's going to go to the Raiders. I wonder where they're going to put them, because you've got Timoko and Chris. He was playing centre at the time. And the fact that Ricky Stewart has put him at 6 is just a stroke of genius, because the kid is, you'd have to say, lightning in a bottle. He's strong. He not even the match-winning try though. Because he scored the try in the second half, and it just going through the line. What a player, man! What an absolute gun! Absolutely love Ethan Strange. I could talk about it all day. Not really saying any new points apart from the fact that, god damn, I just love a ball running six who's just strong and is just exciting, which he is. And it goes in to the other player who really kept them in the game all game, KO Weeks. Oh man, in terms of players who I thought something about and I was wrong about, KO Weeks is up there because I didn't really see it last year. I got to be honest. There was someone I saw him at fullback a couple of times. I was like, man, he's really good at fullback but I think they need to play him at 6. But he's not really. He doesn't really have the hands for a 6. I thought I don't know. I was stupid. I was an idiot. I was wrong because he is a gun as well. Young guns everywhere in that Canberra team. Young guns. Xavier Savage with a injury, which is really sad. Because that guy's been on the sideline and he's also part of that young gun squad that they have. Because they're just fast, man. They're just fast in the back. They've got great players everywhere. They are quick. I was saying this at the pub though. That I think Hudson Young has been playing amazing this year. I think he's got one clanger in him. And in a big spot. That's what I'm worried about. Come finals time, I'm worried he's going to throw an offload in the 77th minute or something that he doesn't need to throw. And that's the one part of his game which I really just want him to get rid of because he's awesome. Apart from that, he's fantastic. Everything about him, I love. Yeah, Raiders, wow. For the Panthers, you've got to look on the other side, and that's 2 weeks in a row, Golden Point. Losing in Golden Point, that's pretty devastating. But you know, that's how them cookies be crumbling, boy. Sometimes it's a tough game. Dylan Edwards, man, far out. 2 weeks in a row. You'd have to say errors from Dylan Edwards just loses him the game, man. He's been not the Dylan Edwards that we've been accustomed to know, and in terms of with that Ashes series coming up at the end of the year for that, you know, for the fullback role, I mean, you'd have to go with probably either Teddy or probably Kyle Weeks, right? Because, I mean, this is given that the Hammer would be playing for Samoa, which there's been a lot of talk in the media about recently. But I think Dylan Edwards is dropping. He's probably going to show up in the playoffs like he always does, but for Penrith, I think they'll be okay because there's talks of them resting everyone for the Bulldogs this Thursday night because they can't make top 4. Not really a big fan of that, but yeah. I mean, when you win 4 chips in a row, I guess you can do whatever you want. But yeah, Raiders, really, really exciting young team. Glad they got the win. I think everyone's rooting for them this year because they're just a lightning in a bottle. Fantastic young team. Really, really interesting to see how far they can go. I was listening to a podcast actually with Ricky Stewart. I forgot to bring this up when we were talking about Ethan Strange, and he said that he was, because you know, coming into this year, they the Raiders would have had a lot of young players that no one knew about because a lot of people had them as wooden spooners at the start of the year. I didn't have them in the top 8 when I was making my predictions. And Ricky Stewart said, the coach of the Raiders, he said that he watched the least amount of film on Ethan Strange, and that he saw one video of it and watched it, 1 minute of tape, and he said, "Yup, that's the guy. Bring him in." And he said him and his mum came into a meeting and he said, "I'm going to take care of you off the field, but on the field, your game's fine." And I just thought, wow, that's really interesting that someone can see a player that special from that far away. And he said he really reminds him of Jack Whiten and Laurie Daly as well, 2 Raiders legends. So we're going to be keeping a finger on the pulse of Ethan Strange's career, and I'm really looking forward to it. The next game that I want to talk about, just really briefly, I mean, there's not too much to talk about in terms of the Bulldogs Storm. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to say the Storm now are just probably that level above of that we expect them to win. I'm expecting them to probably. Okay. Here, slow down. I'm expecting the Panthers to win just because they've deserved that respect. If the Panthers don't win, I would think it would be the Storm. Who do I want to win? I want the Warriors to win, obviously. Who do I think? Apart from that, who would I want to win? Would be the Raiders. So yeah, that's how I view. But I think the Dogs are slightly off that pace. But I think I mentioned it last week. That's what happens when you throw, the keys to a 19-year-old man. I think it was the wrong move. I'm always going to think that's the wrong move. It's another universe of what would have happened if Toby Sexton played the rest of the season. How would the Dogs be feeling? How the Dogs would be flying? Because if you give any 19-year-old any, position of power and something that's important, it doesn't really go well in life. And that's coming from someone who, even as a 24-year-old, you chuck me anything, I feel like I'd fumble it pretty bad. I don't have the life experience. So to give it to a 19-year-old who you'd have to say tried his heart out in the first, I think there were more Lockie Galvin touches in the first 10 minutes than there have been all season. But just the Doggies, they stayed in it. I just think without Jerome Hughes as well, without they're playing without the Dally M player. Like, that's just crazy. That bloke who's... I'm going to get called out because I can't quite remember his name. That no try where Xavier Coates came from behind and scored it. Go for the fucking line, man. Just go for the line, bro. You were there. Sorry, I forget the player's name. I forget who does it. But he got a lovely short ball from Kurt Mann, who'd played his heart out as well. Kurt Mann was really, really good, really solid. Really love Kurt Mann here on the pod. But yeah, it was a difficult situation, I guess, if you get into that open space and you've got Ryan Pappenhausen and Xavier Coates coming from behind, but you've got 30 meters on your right. You kind of be like, looking inside to the fullback. Which brings me to my next point of Connor Tracy. I think a couple of times needed to fucking be there. Teddy's always there, man. Say what you want about the guy, but it's unrelated to Teddy. I'm just thinking of the great fullbacks are always there, and I was saying it last week. I think Connor Tracy is their, ceiling floor player of how well can you play, because you need your spine to show up, and that situation when you've got a forward coming up the try and you're not even in the frame. There were a couple of times as well where you kind of like, man, a fullback coming up on inside. I don't think that's his strength in his game. There were a couple of positioning. Munster had a forward 20 as well. That was just really horrible positioning from Tracy. If you thought that try at the end, that no try was a try, it wasn't. It was a no try. And the reason is because you have to have control again. You can't. He kind of did the whole finger skating thing where you kind of go up and then land it on the thing. You kind of have to have full control in your hand. I don't know why I said finger skating, but if you know, you know. Yeah. So that's what I thought of that. But it's an interesting call because I saw on Channel 9 and things that people are saying, there should be a try. I actually kind of like it as a no try. I think you should have full control of it and you shouldn't be able to bat it up and then put it down. I don't really like that. It's a little Harlem Globetrotter for me. The Dogs. I think I've said what I needed to say. I think maybe next year, and I think I'm getting to that point. And it's tough. It's sad, but that's because I love a lot of their players. I love Crichton, but I love Kikau. I think they're a bit jumbled. Good on them for staying in the game, but I think Storm are a bit of a class above at the moment. That's probably my thoughts. The third mystery game that I said that I would talk about was an absolute stunner out at Parramatta Stadium. I'm laughing because I assume if you're watching this for NRL, you probably turned it off as soon as I said Parramatta. But the Eels Roosters was a cracker of a game. I worked on it for Channel 9. And yeah, just Eels really just took it to them. And that was a really important game for the Roosters. And I was on here declaring last week the Roosters were for realsies. And yeah, Parramatta kind of came out of nowhere. They've got a lot of young talent, old Parramatta. And I think they are trending really upwards in the right direction, especially with performances like that. It's just the consistency that you'd like to see it with. Moses was spectacular in that game. That was his individual try was just fucking outstanding. His kicking game of those massive bombs were awesome. But the Roosters, a lot of errors, man. And, I think the more you watch NRL, the more, and that was a problem with the Panthers as well, the more it's really not that hard of a game. Hey, don't drop the ball, run it out, kick to the corners. That's all NRL is. But the teams who can do that, and that's why the Warriors are in the top 4 at the end of the day, even though we've been making errors left, right, and center. That's our coaching philosophy. That's why we're there. Is because we just play a simple game, and it's because it's a simple game, it works. But yeah, sorry, the Eels, I really wanted to quickly touch on for their futures, because Iongi's a really good player. I was watching him at Penrith last year with very intense eyes, thinking it was quite strange where he went. He was, I believe, part of the Blaze Taulagi contract negotiation deal, which I guess has worked out for either side. But Iongi's been really, really good. Josiah Papali'i has been really, really interesting. Sorry, not Josiah. Joash Papali'i has been really, really good recently in the past couple of weeks. He's an interesting six. He's an interesting player. Who takes the line on, and he's young, and I think the Eels are building up to something really nice. If you want to look at a really exciting 30-10 game with just every try being an absolute banger, watch this game, because every try was sick. Every fucking try was just awesome. It was, I don't want to say one of the games of the year, but I think in terms of the quality of the actual play and of the tries, it was up there. It was really good. So yeah, if you haven't watched the highlights yet, I highly recommend. I need some coconut water before I try to pronounce this Fijian's name. Whenever he was playing Union, we just called him Marky, but Mark Nawaqanitanase. I think that's it. Nawaqanitanase. Has been awesome for the Roosters, and that guy athletically is sneakily doing stuff where I'm like, you're different, bro. That first try he scored, the first try he set up to Tedesco, where he just climbed up above, and then American football, Patrick Mahomes, that to Teddy on the inside. Take notes, Connor. Teddy was there. Was awesome, and then that flick pass. Woo. Gee, that's just sick. So yeah, go watch the highlights of that game if you haven't seen it, because that was an actual really good game. I said I wouldn't go through every single game, but we got to touch on the mighty Wars, right? Like, just got to touch on just how good it is to not lose to the Titans. And just I'm in. I think we played really well. I mean, yeah, it's hard how much you take away from the Titans, but yeah, in the last 20 minutes we were dropping a lot of ball. And I think Webster said that in the press conference that's going to bite us in the ass, and it will. It will bite us in the ass. Okay, I've gone through 4 games. And there's 4 other games left. I might just quickly, you know what we'll do? We'll do a quick power round of what I thought of each game, because I did watch them. Rabbitohs Dragons. Rabbitohs good on them. Dragons dropping the ball. You're done. Seagulls Dolphins. Fuck, man. 58-30. I said it last week. Dolphins, I don't know if you're good or not. And Seagulls, again, these teams that are kind of they're there one week, they're not there the next. They're between 6 and 12 on the table. That's what those teams are. Knights Broncos, I worked on that. Fucking hell. Reece Walsh was great. It was, but again, it can be, and the Knights are really bad, man. Really, really bad. I think maybe it would be interesting to go into like a deep dive on the bad teams and like go about their futures, but I'm not going to do that now. And the West Tigers Cowboys, Jackson Purdue, again, awesome. Awesome. And West just can't get it done when it matters, and that's not on them. That's just where they are on the table. Again, that's just their talent pool. That's just how they play. If you've wooden spooners 3 years in a row, good on you for getting off the bottom of the table. So I think that will be our NRL roundup. Sorry if this podcast is a bit more jumbled than yesterday. I'm just fucking throwing shit at the wall, seeing what works, what doesn't. So yeah. Now the next bit, my final bit, is something that I would highly implore you to look at. And I hope that if you haven't heard about this, that I can be the person to let you know to go watch it, even if you're not a tennis fan. Pardon me, sorry. Even if you're not a tennis fan, because we had one of the biggest dramas, most odd games ever. I actually feel comfortable saying that. I have never seen anything quite like it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, what happened at the US Open on... sorry, I'm just adjusting the mic here. What happened on the US Open yesterday was Daniil Medvedev. I don't know if that name means much to you, but it means a lot to me because I've disliked a lot of tennis players in my time, and I'm a fucking fan. They probably wouldn't like me if I saw them as well. I'm not talking about, I don't want to be personal or something. He's just a bit of a slimy man, bro. Like, there's just something about what he does that I just really don't like. And this is why. This was a all-time temper tantrum, just disgusting display of gamesmanship, sportsmanship, and it just really proved to me why I don't like him. If you don't know what I'm talking about, so first round we're in, and it's match point between stand by. It's match point between Benjamin Bonzi and Daniil Medvedev. Medvedev is down 2 sets and he's down match point, and a photographer walks onto the court. Stupidly. That's his pass gone. Like, we get media accreditation passes. That's his pass gone, right? Okay, so that's pretty bad. And the chair umpire goes, not now. And then, and then the guy sits down. But then because of that, apparently there's a rule, and it's stupid. I don't know if it's a rule. I think it's dumb. But because he was on his first, he had a fault. But because there was an interference, he gets that serve back. He got that fault back. So... and then, okay, so this photographer walks onto the court, and then just all hell breaks loose. Medvedev, being Medvedev, goes up to the chair umpire, just starts screaming. Like, absolutely just tearing off his fucking right nut. Just trying to yell at... Dude, honestly, it's actually like, I cannot even do it justice. You have to watch if you haven't seen it. And he absolutely starts yelling at the umpire, and he's like, look what old Palka said. Look at what old Palka said. And he made a comment about him, like that particular chair umpire being the worst chair umpire. Okay, so Medvedev is like just fucking, and the crowd's booing. The crowd's going absolutely nuts, and Medvedev is like, come on. And it took 7 minutes for the crowd to shut the fuck up. They didn't even shut up. 7 minutes until the point was played. And so this is the third set. The point's played, and eventually Bonzi's just like, okay, well, I have to serve because these guys are just going nuts. He serves it, and it's a fault, and then the crowd again riles the fuck up. And I just want to say, this is why the US Open is the worst of the Opens. Can you imagine at Wimbledon with their strawberries and cream and shit? Just not shutting the fuck up and not being respectful for like 7 minutes and just going like, yeah, it's only the Yanks, bro. They're like, yeah, fucking whatever. You know? Yeah, whatever. This is fucking bullshit, man. That's fucking bullshit. And it's, just fuck. Yeah, it was, just terrifically awful for Benjamin Bonzi. And the Frenchman actually went on to win the match in 5 sets because Medvedev almost came back. I managed to catch the very end of it, and good on him, because Medvedev, what a child. What an absolute child you are, bro. He starts smashing his rackets, throwing a full-on temper tantrum. Bonzi's 51 ranked in the world. This is Medvedev's, I think they were saying 7th loss outside the top 30 this year, and beforehand in a calendar year it was like 4 or something like that, or 3 or something. So yeah, just US Open round 1. Medvedev's gone, which is good, but not without a trace. Because it was an all-time like that John McEnroe, you cannot be serious. It was one of those. It's gonna last that long for historical purposes. It's really quite entertaining, really quite funny. But I'm glad he's gone. Just a quick story on Medvedev is, every single Australian Open I work until the final match, essentially, until end of play, and every single time Medvedev's on a fucking 5 set extravaganza thing against someone who no one knows, and it's just every person in the crew's there until 4 a.m. and Medvedev will eventually either win or lose, and he just has no winners. All he does is get the ball back over the net, and it's like playing a brick wall. I mean, kudos to him. He's an amazing tennis player, but goddamn, bro, I just really don't respect what you do. With all due respect, I have no respect for you. Yeah, that'll wrap it up. I'm glad I got it out. I'm glad we're talking about it. I've got a new laptop, new setup, new everything. So, expect things in the future. There's going to be more things coming. I'm just trying to get it set up and try to see what the style is and stuff like that. But if you are listening, I really, really, really respect it. And thanks. You're probably a very close friend of mine. But I am going to try to be dedicated to making this work because I enjoy it and it's fun. Yeah, that is episode 2 of Behind the Replay fucking done.